Hey everyone, Rachel here. I was reading Debord's 1967 book, The Society of the Spectacle, and came across this intriguing line. In a world which really is topsy-turvy, the true is a moment of the false. What does it mean? There are two ways to interpret Debord's sentence. Either what is true appears as false, or what appears as true is actually false. Both interpretations lead to a similar understanding. In a society dominated by images and appearances, the distinction between the false and the true, the genuine and the real, becomes distorted. The truth is represented through a series of spectacles, where the line between reality and illusion blurs. Does this sound familiar? Watching the recent Sony corporate strategy meeting, I felt this perfectly encapsulated their strategy. A lot of spectacle, but lacking in substance. Here's why. For a start, I was surprised that in a 90-minute event, they talked about the PlayStation Network for less than a minute, and about gaming for a total of 2 minutes during the Q&A session. But timing isn't the only problem. The general tone of the conference was, in a word, smoky, not because they were speaking Japanese, but because their answers seemed out of touch with customer demands and user feedback. The Helldivers backlash? A thing of the past. When asked about it during the Q&A, Yoshida said Sony is excited about surpassing 50 million units in PS5 sales. Sure, those numbers look impressive, but numbers don't always reflect true consumer satisfaction or long-term strategic success. The reality is that sales are dramatically sinking. Sony's missteps have had significant financial repercussions. Their stock plunged by $10 billion after announcing a reduced PS5 sales forecast. It's as if investors collectively facepalmed. Analysts point to decreasing profit margins in Sony's gaming division. Despite record revenues from digital sales and add-on content, the ballooning costs of game development have significantly impacted these margins, dropping them from around 12-13% to under 6%. The bulk of the PlayStation segment in the presentation was focused on showing off a concept for a new next-gen controller, which received a lot of attention in the specialized media. Gamers are expected to cheer for every technological promise of innovation, even when there are no concrete measures. The new controller is only a concept, so it's like talking about flying cars. Interesting, but not practical. This controller, with its trackpads and holographic elements, sounds like those late-night infomercials promising life-changing products that end up in the back of your closet. Remember the PS Vita's rear touchpad? Exactly. Or worse, remember the PS3 Boomerang controller? Better not. More gimmicky than practical, this was already 1 hour into the event, so I started to wonder, am I witnessing the truth, or what Sony wants to convince me is the truth? Is Sony focused on genuine improvements, or just flashy, marketable enhancements? It all became clear when I stumbled upon Debord's text. In a world conflicted and conflated with the collision between the authentic and the false, it becomes almost impossible to determine the difference. The reality is that despite this 90-minute celebration of nothingness, Sony missed its ambitious sales targets for the PS5, reducing its forecast by 4 million units. This is like promising to throw the biggest party of the year and then running out of snacks halfway through. The PS5's failure to outpace the PS4 further highlights these issues. Sony's own projections suggest that PS5 sales will gradually decline as the console enters the latter stage of its life cycle. But was the entire meeting like this? There was a part where Yoshida was a little less generic. The section about Sony's strategy for the future. It still seemed more scattered than a jigsaw puzzle missing half its pieces, but there were some interesting insights. They've hinted at focusing on interaction numbers and engagement time over sheer sales. What does this mean? It means that selling physical units is no longer relevant for Sony as the focus shifts to online services and platform integration. This could be a way to disguise declining hardware performance, or worse, a sign that they're losing confidence in the PS5's momentum. This is especially interesting considering Microsoft's inclusive strategy of making first-party titles available across multiple platforms, including day-one PC releases appealing to a broader audience. It's like Microsoft is throwing a block party while Sony is hosting an exclusive soiree that no one can find. Sony's shift towards focusing on engagement time over units sold has sparked predictable criticism. Many fear this could lead to a reduction in the quality of monolithic, non-service games that have been Sony's hallmark. While this shift has been in place since the PS4 era and has arguably supported Sony's success with first-party games, it signals a change in the gaming industry. Engagement time is now seen as a more comprehensive metric, capturing various forms of interaction beyond traditional game purchases. Hence, the focus of the entire meeting was on things like EMI music publishing, Crunchyroll and anime, SEUS image sensors, the use of Unreal Engine in film production, AI as a support tool for creativity, and expansion in sports and live entertainment. As a gamer, I would have expected much more. A roadmap, first-party games for the rest of the year, and a functional controller without stick drift. This brings me back to Debord's text. In a world which really is topsy-turvy, the true is a moment of the false. Sony's strategy is a dazzling spectacle that hides deeper issues. Don't trust the agent of the spectacle. Don't be resilient in front of fake innovation. The agent of the spectacle, in this case, Sony, is part of a collective effort to distract and subsume us into the ideology of falsification. One must recognize the agents of the spectacle wherever they exist to draw others into the myth of attaining satisfaction through identification with the commodities they claim are necessary. No, they are not. We don't want movies, music, a theme park, and a futuristic controller. We want a roadmap, first-party games for the rest of the year, and a functional controller without stick drift. In conclusion, Sony is making moves, but are they the right ones? Only time will tell. Meanwhile, consumers are treated as children by those selling them the idea of future toys advertised as necessary for happiness. Behold the spectacle while we wait and see. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Happy mindful gaming, and see you next time.